Hi, I'm Casey Lauren. I'm married to Casey Samuel. We live in Region 9 in Brunswick County. We homeschool 2 daughters. My husband is a second-generation homeschooler, and I live with type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed when I was 13, so this is year 29. And homeschooling with a chronic illness is not easy, as a lot of you know who are out there doing it right now. So if you are homeschooling and have a chronic illness, you might have something totally different. It might be rheumatoid arthritis. You could also be walking through cancer right now. And so I
Yeah.
just want to offer, not from just a type 1 diabetic perspective, but from just someone who has health struggles that I have to deal with every single day. I want to offer some encouragement and also some empathy, maybe, as I
Mhm.
maybe can share a little bit about the pros and cons of homeschooling with a chronic illness.
So, this is, if you're just joining us, the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. I'm Amanda Wayers, one of your hosts, and we have with us Melanie Willis, our co host today. So, what do we have going on the show today, Melanie?
This is going to be week 1 of a series that we're doing about homeschooling through chronic illnesses. And so we have lots of people that we know and are on our board that have actually done this, have homeschooled with themselves having chronic illnesses or their children, and what it looks like to have homeschool life and deal with real life all at the same time, because it really is the same thing, right? And so this week, you spoke with Kim Boysworth and with Casey Townsend about their life struggles. And so we're going to listen to those interviews. And then I'm going to show you a little bit more of what art looks like in my homeschool. And of course, we'll have some homeschool news today.
Awesome. All right, let's check them out. So, we have been doing a series on chronic illness and homeschooling, whether that is a chronic illness that the homeschool parent is dealing with or a situation with one of the kids. So, I have with me today Kim Boysworth. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Would you please just briefly introduce yourself for our watchers and listeners, and then you can just tell everybody kind of what your chronic illness story is.
Okay. Well, like she said, I'm Kim Boysworth. I am brand new to the NCHE family by being the Region 6 liaison. So I'm thankful to be able to step in and be a part of that. So my husband and I have 4 kiddos. My oldest is Tristan. He is in the 9th grade. So we started high school this year. And our oldest daughter, Maddie, is 12. Youngest son, Colt, is getting ready to be 8. And then our baby girl, Josie, is 5 and just started kindergarten. So our chronic illness story starts back in 2020, right at the onset of the pandemic. So life was already crazy and the world was already upside down. But our little Josie was born in April of that year. And we were in seclusion already because, the world had quarantined from everyone. So there was no going, no doing. And, life was crazy. What are we going to expect? Should we both go to the hospital, for her birth? Because what if we get sick and we have to be away from our kids? I mean, it was just already nuts.
Yes.
But she was born, and then 6 weeks, 7 weeks later, we found out that she was in liver failure. And very quickly, as soon as we found out, we were at Levine for surgery. It's a surgery that they do for all kiddos that had her condition, which is or was biliary atresia, which is in the liver. You have the biliary tree that everything flows through to make life happy. And hers was just not good from the start. So they do a surgery first to try to preserve the native liver. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time you have to go to transplant. Ours, thankfully, and I'll explain why I say that, failed pretty quickly. And we learned we were going to transplant within probably about a month of that first surgery. So the timeline is she was born in April. On Memorial Day weekend, we found out we were going to surgery. We were sick and going to surgery. Had surgery June 3rd. Back in the hospital mid-July and learned we were going to transplant. Hospitalized at Duke August And while we thought we were going to be going for checkups, it wasn't about a week that we were there, and I realized we're going to be here until we're transplanted. She was transplanted on August 25th. We just had our 5-year anniversary. We call it our liversary. And we were released and came home in early September. And she's been amazing. Praise God ever since. Just
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What I
And that's the
can't
short
even.
version.
Yes, and I'm sure there was lots more along the way. I can't even imagine a new baby and dealing with all of that, and you have 3 olders at the same
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
There's a 9-year, is that right?
So
9.
yeah, our oldest was 8 at the time, and our
Okay.
youngest, so Maddie would my middle daughter would have been around 7, 6-ish, 7-ish, and then our youngest was 2. So the older ones kind of get what's going on, the littlest one not so much, but we were very fortunate to have many family members that just came in and loved on them and took care of them when we couldn't be here.
Yeah. And so those 2 older ones were school age. So
Mhm.
were you already homeschooling
We
at that
were.
time? Okay.
The crazy thing though, so yeah, we have homeschooled from the start. We're going into our 10th year. But so we were, but we had basically quit before Josie was born because I was 37, I think, when she was born.
Okay.
And just it was tough. And so I was just done with all the things. And then
Yeah.
COVID hit and we were like, we're done until after she gets here and we'll pick up in the summertime, and we'll make up for what we didn't finish this spring. So we were homeschooling, but my kids ended up really missing about a year of school. And it's okay. It's been
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
When we came home in early, what did I say? September? No, October.
Okay.
We were just kind of sitting around, being normal for the first time in a really long time. And I just was thinking and like watching everyone and seeing my kids together really for the first time in a long time and just
Mm.
thinking how precious it was. And I thought, I'm not, I'm not even trying to get back at this. Like, I just want to soak up my family. I missed my baby so much, in the
Yeah.
time that we were gone. And we were going into fall, which is my favorite. I love fall. I
Me
love,
too.
like, the smells and the sights and the getting ready and the amping up for Christmas and all those
Mhm.
things. It's just the best time of year in my mind. And so instead of doing school, I had this little project where we made a turkey every single day, whether it was like something that we ate or like a construction paper or a puppet or just something silly, but we
Yes.
dove in and we did it together, and it was just something fun to try to just come back together as a family and figure out how life is going to look from now on.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we didn't start back to school until after the new year when we were kind
Mhm.
of, back on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It's been fine ever since.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. S- So now it's been 5 years later,
Mhm.
and sweet Josie, I got to meet her in August, and she is a firecracker. So you would never know. You would
Mm.
never know that she had such a hard start to her life. She is something else. She's so cute. But how do you see now, I know some people out there facing this when you say, "Oh, took a year basically off of school." People are like, "What?" You know? So
Mhm.
here 5 years later, now you have some time to look back and you can see how your kids are doing now. Could you say I've met your kids now, so I could say that you would never know. You would never know that you took a year off of school. Absolutely not.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
just think that's the beauty of homeschooling,
for
and
sure.
one of the reasons that I have loved doing these interviews for this series so much is that there have been some situations where the family said, keeping that routine was helpful for them. But I love that there's been variety too, that in your case, it made no sense. There was no way to keep the same routine. There was no way.
And they really needed what our family did to come together and just love on them.
Yeah.
and just be that security for them because, even though they kind of knew, they didn't really know. And at a couple of different times, we weren't sure if we were bringing her back home with us. And
Mhm.
thank the
Yeah.
Lord that didn't happen and we didn't have to, reconcile that with them. But that to me is priceless. It's worth more worksheets and lessons than, they could have ever done was just having our family just enclosed in circle and love and nurture in our absence. And I believe they learned things from that time period that they will take into their adult life,
Oh,
when the to-do list can't get done, it's okay. They learned what's important. Yeah.
100%. I love that. And I love we talk a lot about homeschooling is life. Life is homeschooling,
Mhm.
and this is a
Mhm.
perfect example of that you take what you've been dealt, and you just
Yeah.
you live. And
Yeah.
I would bet that your kids, even while they were away from you, they were with different family members, whatever, they learned. They still
Mhm.
learned. Maybe they weren't
Yeah.
sitting down and doing paper and pencil work, but they
Right.
learned plenty just by
Right.
living life. Yeah.
Right.
And the beauty of those relationships.
And I hope my prayer, and I feel like the Lord will honor this is, that they saw his presence. You know what I mean? Because there was no way we would have survived it had it not been for his grace,
Yeah.
and that's a whole other episode.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Man, I love that too. It's so good and there's so much.
Yep.
But I'm going to ask you one last question before we go. If you could give one of our watchers and listeners out there, another mom who's facing a difficult time, a child with illness or in the hospital, whatever, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them?
Number one, lean on the Lord,
mm,
pray for wisdom, pray for discernment, ask the Holy Spirit to guide you and focus you where you need to be and then trust it and just
mm,
sit on it until he moves you. And he will. He will
That's
show you where to be and he will show you when to move. And just sometimes it's not even one day at a time. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, especially
mm.
in those really hard diagnosis, in those really hard steps when you don't know what the next hour is going to bring. You just have to understand that and just
Mhm.
sit in it and trust. And it's hard. It's easy to say, and I don't always do it well, but
sure.
that is my best advice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing, for being so open and sharing your story with all of our audience out there. I know
Of course.
that they're going to be encouraged and blessed by it.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, so today I am here with Casey Lauren Townsend, and she is going to share with us her story. So, Casey, just introduce yourself for everybody and then tell us a little bit about just your chronic illness journey.
Hi, I'm Casey Lauren. I'm married to Casey Samuel. We live in Region 9 in Brunswick County. We homeschool 2 daughters. My husband is a second generation homeschooler, and I live with type 1 diabetes. I was
Mm.
diagnosed when I was 13, so this is year 29. And homeschooling with a chronic illness is not easy, as a lot of you know who are out there doing it right now.
So, Casey, first off, just what does it look like day to day life dealing with type 1 diabetes and homeschooling? What does that look like?
Okay, so for those who don't know, type 1 and type 2 diabetes are two different things. Type 1 is where you're insulin dependent. So I am completely dependent on insulin injections. I probably take anywhere from 5 to 10 injections every day. I have to be very careful about what I eat, very careful about hormones shifting. Living with 2 daughters, the hormones are always shifting in our house, and that does affect blood sugars. I know not everyone out there is struggling with type 1 diabetes. If you are homeschooling and have a chronic illness, you might have something totally different. It might be rheumatoid arthritis. You could also be walking through cancer right now. And so I
Yeah.
just want to offer, not from just a type 1 diabetic perspective, but from just someone who has health struggles that I have to deal with every single day. I want to offer some encouragement and also some empathy, maybe, as I
Mhm.
maybe can share a little bit about the pros and cons of homeschooling with a chronic illness.
Yeah.
So what it looks like, some days are great. Like, with type 1 diabetes, I do have medicine that I can take, and
Yeah.
I check my blood sugar. I have a monitor on me all the time, and I can check my blood sugar from my phone. But sometimes the days have unexpected interruptions, and that can be very challenging, and it can cause us to be late for things. You can't drive if you have a low blood sugar. I have to slow down if my blood sugar is rising rapidly because I can feel my heart beating really fast, and you can't power through that. You have to stop what you're doing. But the
Right.
blessing in that is that I truly am. I mean, not every day. I complain like every homeschooling parent, but I am truly grateful for the time that God has
Mm.
given me. I'm grateful for that I was able to have children to homeschool. When you have
Yeah.
an illness, you don't really stay a shallow person. It causes you to have a depth that other people don't have. The Lord uses our sufferings, and his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And I have to lean
Yeah.
on him. I have to say, well, Lord, you didn't want me to be on time for that American Heritage Girls meeting or whatever the thing was that we had planned to do. I have to be okay with being late sometimes. I have learned to be I have had to learn to think differently about time and the
Mhm.
American of being on time, starting on time for every single thing. You can't do that when you have a chronic illness. You are truly at God's mercy a lot of times. And so I want to encourage any parents who are homeschooling and you are not well, not completely well in your physical body, to lean on the
Mhm.
Lord and trust Him that he has a purpose in our pain and he will use it. He will cause your children to be more thoughtful, to see the world through a different lens, and
Mm.
hopefully cause you to be able to slow down a little bit more and reflect on him in a prayerful way as you go through your homeschool journey.
That is so encouraging. There's so many people out there that are dealing with all these different things, and walking through that it really does give you just a little different perspective on life, different perspective on homeschooling, parenting, all that. And I really hear that in what you're saying. It's really encouraging and beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. So, do you feel like you're dealing with chronic illness? Some days are good days, some days maybe are not so good days. Like you said, the time and being able to go places can vary from day to day. How do you think that has affected your children and maybe their homeschooling, their maturity, all of that?
Mhm. So I feel I am very blessed as far as chronic illnesses go that we don't have we have not had a lot of days where we've had to just cancel the whole day. That really has not happened. But I can think of times when, we're going to go outside and garden or we're going to go for a walk or something like that. And then unexpectedly my blood sugar will drop too low and you don't just like get to go get a drink of juice and then hop back into it. It takes like a half an hour to an hour to recover. So then you have to
Yeah.
regroup. So there are definitely times of frustration in that, but honestly, I will say that it has not been a burden to them. Like they're good and life is
Yeah.
good. They're happy and they get to do so much. So I would say right now it has not been a burden to their lives and I'm very grateful for that. I don't know if that is everyone's story, but I would say even if it has been burdensome to your children, just allow the Lord to work that out and pray
Yeah.
for them and encourage them and just pray that the Lord will make it clear to them why he's allowing this in their lives. There's always something. He's always got something planned in that. So I would just encourage people to pray.
I love that. Okay, last question. What would you say? What would be your encouragement, maybe advice to a mom or a dad out there homeschooling, dealing with some kind of chronic illness? What's your best advice for them?
My best advice is actually super practical advice. Eat well,
Mhm.
exercise if you can, go to the doctor, and also allow yourself room to rest. Don't feel like you have to do all the activities and all the things like maybe some of your peers do. I know in homeschooling is a blessing and you can lead a slow life, but a lot of us we like want to take every opportunity that is available to us because we homeschool and we can. So we kind of abuse the freedom and exhaust ourselves. So I would
That's
say
true.
if you have a chronic illness, make sure that you take time to rest and just accept that you might need more rest than others and don't be afraid of judgment from them because you're resting more than they are.
Yes. That is wonderful. Good advice. And I know that others out there are going to be blessed by hearing your story, hearing your experience, and your encouragement. So thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
All right. So I loved sitting down with both Kim and Casey Lauren. They're both just lovely, lovely ladies. And I love talking to them and hearing their heart. But it's so interesting. I thought, with Kim having the situation with her daughter and that illness, and then Casey is an illness in herself. So you get both perspectives of a child and chronic illness and then the parent and chronic illness. So I thought that really will be so helpful and encouraging to folks out there that are dealing with those things.
Because I think most of the time we're so hard on ourselves, just in everyday life to make sure we get it all in, that we're doing all the things all the time. And, part of homeschooling is that we don't have to be so structured all the time. We get to take weeks off to go on vacation when everybody else is in school or to go to the park. And sometimes we have life events, weddings, funerals, and things, and it's okay to just take a break. And then, especially if we have something hard happening, like an illness in our family. And I know, I have quite a bit of experience with just having to stop and do what is necessary at the time. And so it's really good to hear their experiences and hopefully help so many out there that are having struggles to see that it can still happen while life is happening.
100%. I think my favorite thing of both those interviews was the focus on the beauty of that flexibility in homeschooling, like what you're just talking about, that, Kim and her family basically took a year off of formal homeschooling. Of course, we know kids are always learning and they're learning so much from even those hard situations. So, but a year without sitting down and hitting the books, and it's okay. It's turned out just fine. And the flexibility of when Casey maybe is having a difficult morning and they just need to just take off, to just relax and get everything back on an even keel and be able to start back. And how beautiful that they can do that,
And it's just important, again,
I
to
love
remember that, sometimes it's our emotional state that we just need to stop. And we need to recognize that in our
Yes.
children that, hey, there's a real struggle today. Let's shift gears and do something else. Or just take a break.
Yes. I think that's an important lesson to be learned from all that too, that to listen to our own bodies, our own minds, our own emotions, and it's okay to flex around those things and be able to just cope in that way. I think
And
that's really
even
powerful.
for the children that a particular illness isn't happening to, they can feel the stress. They know what's going on. If they have a sibling that isn't well, that's stressful. And we need to let
Yes.
them process and let them see what it looks like for us to process and just take that break. And we've said so many times that just living life has such a learning experience behind it. And I would venture to say that through these unfortunate events that they're learning so much about life. And that's what's most important.
Absolutely. 100%. That's
Yeah.
so great. Perfectly stated. All right. So, do you have some art for
Yes,
us
I
today?
do have some art for us today. And I don't know, a month or two ago, I showed you some pictures here today. Like we have this heart, and it says, "This is not a heart, this is a." And I give this to my group of kids. That's my one child that I'm left homeschooling and my sister's children. And I say, make this into something else. And they make it into some other beautiful picture. And I always tell them, I'm like, I want you to take up the whole space and I want you to take your time and pencil it in and then color it. And, based on their moods, sometimes they do a lot and sometimes they do a little, but they always tend to surprise me that they have so many great ideas, because honestly, when I look at it, I'm like, I don't know that I could do this, but they have wonderful imaginations. And so I'm going to show you what they did with the heart here in just a minute. But when I talked to you about this last time, I didn't tell you where I got it from, because it was basically through a TikTok. And so I have looked up the girl's name since then, and her name is Hojong Kim. And she's on YouTube, she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and she has all these wonderful ideas. And if you find her out there, you can actually click on her, and she does have a store that you can order some of these from. I basically just watched the videos and made up some, copied what she had done. And then now kind of getting the hang of it myself. And, I'll just kind of look out in front of me and say, what's there? And, oh, there's a leaf of a plant, and I'll draw it and then just see what the kids do. And so with this heart, I have one child that said, this is not a heart, this is a butterfly. Oops, upside down. There we go. So, and then one that this is not a heart, this is a hot air balloon. This is my
I
youngest.
love that.
He did a really good job there of a hot air balloon. And so I thought I would give you guys a couple more ideas of things that you could do. So this is not an X. This is not a wave.
Oh, wow.
This is not a jump rope. I had one kid that did a fantastic job on that. I don't have it here with me, but she made a big set of headphones. It was beautiful.
Oh,
This is
cool.
not a play button. There's just all kinds of stuff you can do. I know this week we're doing, this is not a hockey puck. This is not a mitten. I can't think of there's another one that we're doing this week, but they're so much fun and it doesn't take any time on my part. And the kids get to do a fantastic job showing off their art skills. And then we just have 3 ring binders for each child. And every time that they're done, they go ahead and they put it in there. And then I just check their binders later. And so that's my art class. We do every now and then do a little something extra. So hopefully soon I will have some good fall things to show you that we're working on. And so now let's hear some homeschool news.
Hello, this is Yolanda Lewis, Multicultural Liaison for NCHE, here to bring you your homeschool news. This is the final week to purchase tickets for A Christmas Carol to take place on Wednesday, December 10th in High Point. Be sure to get yours today. There are still a few tickets left for this year's NCHE field trip to the Charlotte Ballet for everyone's favorite, the Nutcracker. This will take place on December 17th. We know you will want to take place in this delightful holiday event. Tickets for both of these events can be found at nche.com/activities. NCHE Day at the Hornets will take place Saturday, January 24th at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Join the excitement when the Hornets take on the Washington Wizards. Admission includes the game against the Wizards, the Hornets Special Faith and Family Concert, and exclusive fan experience for kids ages 5 through 18. Please be sure to visit the website for more details. Thrive Homeschool Conference. Featured speakers have been announced. Here's that list. Stephanie Buckwalter from Adapted Home Education, Kathy Lee Eggers, author of The Homegrown Preschooler, Amber O'Neill Johnston of HeritageMom.com, Erin Clem, Director of Publishing and Content at Summit Ministries, Andrew Padua, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing. He's always a favorite. Dr. Steve and Megan Shibner of CharacterHealth.com will also be with us again. Be sure to mark your calendars now for this amazing event coming May 21st to 23rd, 2026. Until next time, this is Yolanda Lewis with your Homeschool News.
All right. Always so much great things going on.
Make sure that you visit the website and order those tickets and everything else, and just be paying attention for all the new upcoming events, and especially everything, all things Thrive, that will be coming up very, very soon.
Yes, absolutely. It's already time to be reserving your hotel rooms, and in a couple months, it'll be time to start registering. I can hardly believe it. It feels like, time goes by so fast, but it's fun that we have great activities going on all year long, sports going on all year long, just a lot. I love it. As always, guys, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family. If you have somebody that maybe is dealing with a chronic illness or a difficult situation, either with themselves or with their children, and this could encourage them, please send it to them. That would be wonderful. It would help them and it would help us as well. That's our heart. We want to help, equip, encourage, connect people with resources, help people homeschool with confidence and joy. That's why we're here. So definitely, if you have any chronic illness homeschooling experience that you'd like to share with us, please do send it to us at the Homeschool Show at NCHE.com. I would love to hear your stories and, just know how you've gotten through those situations in homeschooling. And we're still taking your holiday traditions, your homeschool holiday traditions or stories that you'd like to share with us. You can send us a quick 30-second to a minute video of you or your children, all of you sharing with us. You can send that as well to the Homeschool Show at NCHE.com. So until next time, keep homeschooling with confidence and joy. We'll see you. Bye-bye.